Hi everyone, how are you doing? Welcome back to this channel where we talk about things crafty like crochet and knitting. My name is Nikki. So let me know how you're doing in the comments down below. I'm doing okay. I did, however, make the realization this week that I'm at the end of my 26th week in lockdown, and so yes, that is half a year. We're going to park that thought because it's rubbish, but I am worrying a little bit about Christmas, because I'd given up on the idea of staying with my family over Christmas a while ago because of all of the strangeness that is going on. But I still thought that we'd be able to drive down and sort of wave at them and shout from the car, see them physically in person, rather than on a screen, and exchange presents, because of course I spent the whole of the last episode talking to you guys about how I have this Christmas project of hand making everybody's presents this year, and I can't just hook up an Amazon order to homemade socks. That's not how Amazon works. So yes, and I'm not sure that I want to post it because Christmas post can be quite hectic, and I wouldn't want something that I'd spent so long making to get lost. So I don't really know what's going to happen at Christmas, which is worrying me a little bit. And if you're worrying, you're not alone. You'll get nothing but support from this channel. We are definitely going through these weird, strange COVID times together. But anyway, I'm going to talk to you in this video about the progress that I've made on the Christmas socks, starting with this pair here. So I showed you these last time. This is the Opal Safari in South Africa that we picked out for my father-in-law. It was greener on the website, but it's grey in real life, but hopefully he'll still like them. Last time they were up to the gusset on the needle, so I've now finished the foot and the toes on both of those socks, and they are ticked off the list of Christmas presents to make. So that's the Opal Safari. And then this week as well, I have been knitting a lot, so I have cast on and cast off a pair for my Nana. This is the West Yorkshire Spinners Delphinium in these lovely purple and lilacs. And yeah, I love all purple tones, but and usually when I make smaller sizes of socks, so like 4s, 5s and 6s, you can get a second pair out of the ball. But if I made myself a second pair, realistically I'm not going to wear them because I am pasty skinned and dark hair. I do not wear pastel shades. I wear dark shades and autumn shades, so that's just not an option. And I think what I'm going to do instead is, I have a friend who likes this lilac shade of purple arguably more than I like this particular shade of purple, and I'm going to probably keep the spare yarn safe and tucked away until she's ready to have a family, and then make some cute little baby boots out of that spare yarn for her. So I think that's a better plan than making myself a pair of socks that I never wear. And that means that my Nana's pair is also ticked off the list. One thing actually that I noticed when working with this sock yarn was that I understood how people felt when they spoke about working with a certain yarn and preferring to work with a certain yarn. So I am not paid to advertise or promote anything in any way, shape or form. These are my personal opinions. But so when you're working with yarn and doing crafts, you are often you're holding stitches and you're pulling yarn across your hands a lot, and I have sensitive skin on my hands, so I found, certainly by contrast to the previous pair in the Opal, that this was a much scratchier yarn than the West Yorkshire Spinners, which was a lot softer when I was working with it. And don't panic, because yes, I know these are gifts and I've tried them both on and they're not scratchy to wear, but when I was working with them, because the skin on my hands is more sensitive than the skin on my feet or legs or arms or whatever, I found that actually, yeah, this yarn was a lot nicer to work with, and I would be more likely to pick up this yarn again if I could get it in the colour that I need, which was something that surprised me, because I typically will just work with whatever yarn I can get my hands on. I'm not too fussy being on a student budget. I can't be. but noticing that, that was a strange experience for me. So besides having finished those 2 pairs, I've also, if I just grab my yarn bowl, cast on the start of my grandma's pair, which is in the same West Yorkshire spinner, but this is English Rose, so it's these pastel pinks, because my grandma wears these pastel pinks. And I learned a thing. So this is a little bit embarrassing to admit, but when I have my 100-gram balls that I order, I will typically rewind them into 2 50-gram balls so that I can actually knit both socks at the same time and keep a similar tension in those socks. But when I wound the yarn for my nanas, it took me an hour and a half because I started from the outside of the ball. I was unwinding as much as I could, and then I was putting that into my my yarn ball winder to rewind into a 50-gram ball, and yes, that took an hour and a half. When I did this one, I took the yarn from the middle of the ball and I didn't have to unwind it, and so it took 15 minutes. An hour and a half, 15 minutes. Yeah, I definitely messed up with the previous winding experience. So in future, I'm going to be doing it by taking yarn from the middle of the ball. It was definitely a lot quicker and easier. So that is my tip to you guys. Learn from my mistake. That, yeah, I just have to be a little bit careful with self-striping yarns, that they're lined up properly, but the fact the colour is in reverse shouldn't matter because no one's going to realise that when it's knit up into the sock. You just have to make sure it's lined up. So yes, I learned a thing. It's a little bit embarrassing, but yeah. So that is the progress that I've made with the socks. So obviously these last 2 episodes have been about socks because that is what sort of has inspired me to start these videos, but I do make lots of other stuff as well, and I'd like to share some of that with you guys. So the next video is going to be on something different, and that's partly because of wanting to share other projects with you guys, so that you don't just get bored of socks and never want to see a pair of socks again, but also because of my little public health announcement, which is not COVID, but it's repetitive strain injury. So please be aware of it. When you are crocheting or knitting with smaller hooks, tighter gauges, it is possible to tense your hands and your wrists and your arms a lot more. And this week, the reason I've managed to make the socks I've made this week is because I had a bit of a panic about finishing things before Christmas. And I spent every spare moment knitting with these very small needles. And I ended up feeling these sharp, nervy twinges in my wrists, which I felt before when I've worked on small crochet projects. And I just realised I needed to stop and breathe and slow down. So yeah, next week I'm going to talk about something different because that just means I can slow down on the socks, and then I can show you the sock progress at my own pace without hurting myself. So yes, I'm sure that you guys make lovely, beautiful things as well. So this is my plea to anyone watching. Please look after your arms, your wrists, your hands. Please look after them, because I would hate for anything to stop us from doing our crafts. And yes, so I'm going to end the video there. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I hope you will come and see next week's video where I talk about something different. And I hope that you are staying safe and healthy during the weird and wonderful time of COVID. I'll see you soon. Bye.